Another witness has come out against Justin, and Blake Lively might get him to pay millions? We got Ron Zambrano back to break it all down. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore. So glad to see you, Ron. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you.
So good. It's been too long. Always appreciate you making time to come in here. I know you had a chance last night to go over this latest filing, this memo of law in support of motion for attorney's fees, treble damages, and punitive damages under California court. Now, I want you to explain what all this means to help our viewers, but correct me if I'm wrong. This is basically something she gets to do because Justin's counterclaim was dismissed. Because that was then dismissed by the judge, it allows Blake to go after 4 attorney's fees, and that's ultimately what this is. Is that correct? And can you sort of explain it any further for the audience so we can start there?
Sure. So this is actually very, very kind of a narrow, nuanced thing coming out of California. So under Code of Civil Procedure in California, 47.1, if you are sued for defamation and the defamation claim against you is because you are someone who made a complaint of harassment or allegation of harassment, like Blake Lively has done, and you're able to win defending that defamation claim. 47.1 lets you do 4 things as the prevailing party. 1, you get your attorney's fees. 2, you get the costs for getting there, for getting to the win. 2, if you can somehow connect the defamation case, that the fact that you're defending this allegation of defamation outside of fees and costs, you've lost a job, you've lost, business opportunities, that harm, you prove it to the judge and the judge has to triple it. And then the other thing you can do, the 4th thing, is you can go for punitive damages to punish the person who sued you for defamation for the claim of making the claim of harassment. So here, Baldoni, his cross claim had 1 of 6 claims was defamation. Blake filed a motion to dismiss. The judge, to all 6 claims, the judge says, I'm dismissing everything but 2 claims, but the things he did allow to be amended was not the defamation claim. The judge said, listen, your defamation claim is gone under litigation privilege. You cannot amend that. But you can amend these 2 things if you want. And we've talked about it. I'm sure you've talked to a lot of people about it, Andy. He didn't amend the complaint, so that cross claim is gone. So once he made the decision, this is called Baldoni made the decision, or the Wayfair parties, not to amend the cross complaint for the 2 claims that the judge let them have a chance to amend, Lively became the prevailing party in defending the claim of defamation against her, which allows her now to seek a remedy under CCP 47.1, and this motion is it.
So thank you. So that's where this is. I mean, you can imagine how frustrated people are because it's like, well, we haven't even gone to trial yet. Like, what's happening? Like, he's not really guilty, but I guess the point is, yeah, he didn't do the amended lawsuits. Why a lot of us were kind of shocked that he didn't. Based on what you've read here and what she filed, do you think this is going to succeed? Do you think Miss Lively will get fees?
I think she'll get the costs. I think she'll get fees. She'll get what the statute allows her to do. The question is, what is that amount? Because how we, or anybody who opposes these motions, whether you're winning or you're trying to get them and you get an opposition, what you typically get the argument is like, listen, it's 1 of 6 claims. She did work beyond the 1 claim. She doesn't get to get everything. But as we talked about privately, Andy, the statute also says that the judge has the discretion to not give any damages if the initial harassment allegation was not done with a reasonable basis. So the statute, I think, is not very well written for this particular circumstance where it's a cross claim after the initial claim. A federal judge here can say, okay, give me your opposition, Baldoni. If there's a reply, give me a reply, Lively. And the judge can just sit on it to see what happens to Lively's case so that the judge can make a decision about reasonable basis, right? 47.1 is not clear. A lot of people think it's unconstitutional because you get the treble damages plus punitive damages. They say that's not constitutional as far as the civil remedy is concerned. It's like double jeopardy, kind of, but in the civil context. The other thing is that the judge can make this call about, yeah, I let you win, person who defended their defamation case, but I kind of don't think what you initially said had a reasonable basis. So it's kind of like this fail safe, which is personally, I think it's a good idea, but it requires this particular judge to wait to see whether Lively prevails at trial. If she doesn't prevail at trial, because that would give I hate to say basis again, but that would give some type of foundation for the judge to make this determination a reasonable basis. So it's really, really complicated. I know people are like, she hasn't won one, but she kind of did in a procedural sense. And there were a lot of attorneys going, Friedman kind of stepped into it with 47.1. He probably didn't know about it.
Now, this will be Lyman, the judge in this case, or this is a different case, a different judge that will decide this? How does this work?
No, it'll be Lyman who decides it for sure. Yeah,
so it'll be pretty telling if Lyman grants money here, right? I mean, it seems to me the safest bet is to, okay, noted, we're going to wait and see how this all plays out to even out or do like you said. If Lyman does dish out some money now, is that a sign against Justin and a sign maybe towards Blake of where he's leaning? What do you think?
No, because what I believe, if the judge makes a decision now, I think the judge is treating them just separately. He's created his own, partition, this fiction that these two are unrelated. This is transactional now, right? Baldoni lost his cross complaint. Now it's transactional as far as the function of 97.1. Lively is the prevailing party under the statute. Now it's just a matter of, is everything she's asking for reasonable? It has to be reasonable fees. And is the treble damages based on something that is not speculative? And it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of briefing and a lot of opposition. And then you had initially brought up, well, should California decide what to do or not do? I don't think it'll be this judge that punts it to California. I think whatever this judge decides, that order will be appealed to the the Second District in New York, which is the appellate court for the Southern District of New York.
Got it.
And I think the Second District will then punt it to the California State Court and go, you tell us what you would do, because this is your law, and we'll just adopt it and then tell Lyman what to do based on what California says.
So it's unlikely that anything, even if he rules it, this is going to be delayed for a while. They're going to punt this as long as they can.
Yes. Even if the judge decides this now and doesn't sit on it, the whoever loses is going to appeal, whether it's Lively or Justin. Second District is not going to take a shot. But the best people prepared to interpret California law is the Supreme Court of California. You tell us what to do.
It's insane the amount of money that is being wasted on this case.
Yep.
It's like monumentally depressing when you really think about it. Because I'm sure this is insane amounts of money that are being spent daily, no?
Yes. Probably tens of thousands of dollars daily. Oh. Tens of thousands a day between everyone. Yeah, easily. Very easily. For sure.
Insane waste. Anyway, but on top of that, they also included this declaration, which is now getting some PR attention, a declaration that's been redacted. I declare of sound money that Justin, blah, 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 bleep, bleep. I had repeated negative interactions with Mr. Baldoni and his associates, including verbal abuse by Mr. Baldoni. Mr. Baldoni not permitted to be on set during the majority of production as a result of those experiences. I requested that he not be involved in blank marketing or public relations efforts. I was contacted by the assistant of Steve Sarowitz to schedule a time and meet. He didn't specify the topic of this meeting. Bleep, 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 bleep. A true copy is here. Now, we don't know who this is. There's a lot of speculation. Could this be Robin Lively? Is this Liz Plank, one of his co-hosts? We don't know. I guess my first question is, will we know? Will this eventually get unredacted? It's crazy. There were YouTubers who had their identities forced out by Lyman, but now this declaration gets to be redacted. What is the rule here? And will this get exposed?
So there has to be an application to keep this sealed, and the judge has to allow this to remain sealed. There's a presumption throughout all public courts throughout this, either at the state and federal level, that anything filed is supposed to be publicly disclosed. So this is a temporary seal. And if the judge doesn't rule that it can remain permanently sealed, then it can, then the judge will order it either stricken and he can't use it, nobody can use it for anything, or that it be ordered file redacted. So the big question that the judge is going to say, and this may be one of those things where there's a filing for PR purposes, but not for litigation purposes, as we've seen Friedman do. Um, this might be one of those things where this is not really going to be used for purposes of the motion that it was, let's call it attached to. It's just to kind of get a PR win, right? Because it's working, right? They're talking crap about Baldoni, and up to now, Baldoni to some folks, can do no wrong, and apparently someone says he can do wrong, and it's newsworthy.
Well, it's just wild because we need the context and what is the actual accusation, right? To know that you could just file a redacted thing making a claim and then be like, oh, we're keeping the identity. Okay, fine, we'll just throw it away. But then it's out in the ether is pretty messed up, no?
It is, and the other thing is, you're absolutely right in the way you're viewing it. But two, like, what does it go to from a litigation standpoint? It doesn't help the motion for fees. This is not a person that worked on the case. This doesn't help her underlying claim. It doesn't say like, he sexually harassed me or I saw him sexually harass Lively. It doesn't go to anything substantive. This is just it's a piling on, in my opinion. Now, yes, from at least from the unredacted portions, right? At least, but they're saying some bad stuff about Baldoni, but they're not saying what he did. So I really don't think that the unredacted versions are of substance to the underlying claims of this case or to the motion that was just filed.
Yeah, it's interesting because people are trying to use this, but it's exactly like I need to know what is the actual verbal abuse, what was said, what is his side of the story, right? We need to hear both sides before we can deduce anything. And so while there's a lot of people sort of calling this out as if it's a death nail to the case, I'm just like, well, I don't know what it is yet because it's not really cleared. So what is your status? Do you think was this a smart thing to reveal? Is this them doing sort of their own smart tactics back, or is this shady? What is your viewpoint of this?
I think Friedman's getting a taste of his own medicine. That Lively was able to get somebody that was able to shed a negative light on Baldoni, who up to now has been winning that war, right? For several months. I think it's a PR win. We cannot ignore the fact that somebody has a negative view of Baldoni. But then again, like you're right though. What is the context? What is it that he said? Maybe the things that are horrendous really have to do with things of a sexual nature, which would then go to the underlying claims for Lively, and then we have to take that seriously. But if it's like he was just really mean and talked in a tone that I didn't like, well, then it's so what?
Right. So does Wayfair get to respond to this? Like, what is the next step to understand? Or just now we have to wait to see if the judge rules it and they don't really get any more defense on it?
Right. Well, Wayfair can request that this be provided in an unredacted form or filed in an unredacted form, or else it'd be stricken from the record and can't be used by the judge or anyone else.
The declaration, but not the rest of it. The rest of it's sort of up for the judge to decide since he lost. But this declaration being thrown in, they could, if they have a problem with it or want to know what it is, they can go ask. I mean, do you think, is it safe to assume they know what this is and they're just trying to avoid it? Like in your sort of scenario, I imagine there are some things they know that they're trying to finagle or use. What does your instinct say?
I mean, if all of America and social media cannot really determine who this is, if there was no warning this was coming, I don't think Baldoni knows who this is. I think it's speculation. Unless there were private conversations between counsel going like, this guy. I have this gal or guy that's really upset at Wayfair's, their experience at Wayfair. They're going to come. Unless there's something like that where you kind of tip your hand, they may not know, just like you and I were just speculating.
Well, we will speculate more on our live. If you want to watch the full live, you can always become a member, watch the full show. We're going to talk about that today during our live to talk about who those we think that could be. But again, that's our guess. In the meanwhile, though, Ron, final question. So it's safe to assume he could have to pay millions to her for this. Now, if he wins his case or Blake's is thrown out, could that offset it? Let's predict the future. Like, what happens if Blake's case is eventually thrown out or doesn't win?
That's a great question. And everybody who is in litigation should tell their clients this. There is the reality of litigation, which is not life. So in litigation here, Baldoni might have a judgment against him for fees and costs, maybe not millions, but still in the six figures, mid six figures. And that's not, it's a lot of money. And that would suck. But in life, he's going to be able to file an appeal and maybe wait to see what happens in the defense against Lively's case. And if he wins, then he can file for costs. And then all of a sudden they have two loaded guns towards each other and it might be a wash. So from a litigation standpoint, this is bad. But from a reality standpoint, I think he'll be able to kick the can down the road, even with the court's help, like we've talked about with the appellate process and all that. And if he successfully defends the claim that exists, that Lively has against him, then he can go ask for costs for what it took for him to defend that. There's 750 things filed. I mean, we already talked about the cost. So yes, it's bad in a technical sense, but in a reality sense, there's a good chance that this will be a wash, in my opinion, if he's able to successfully defend the claims that are levied against him by Lively.
Love the insight as always. Appreciate you, sir. Guys, make sure you hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell for all alerts. Smash that thumbs up as well, and leave your comments down below. And if you ever need a trial attorney out in the LA area, you make sure to go look up West Coast Trial Lawyers. Ron Zambrano, always a pleasure, sir. Enjoy the rest of your day. Please thank him in the comments down below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned. We got a lot more coming your way here on Popcorn Planet.